I want to talk about something that's really been bothering me. My name is Brendan Rennert, and I am the grandson of Tuvia Bielski. I run the page A Holocaust Story because I believe these stories need to be told. I can post about a Holocaust survivor. I can post about a child escaping a ghetto. I can tell the story of my grandfather, Tuvia Bielski, and the Bielski Partisans, who helped save 1,250 Jewish men, women, and children during the Holocaust. And somehow, almost every time, somebody feels a need to turn that story into a political argument about what is happening in the world today. Why? Why can't a Holocaust story simply be allowed to be a Holocaust story? And what I find even more disturbing is how many of these comments come from people hiding behind the words anonymous participant. Recently, someone actually wrote to me, "Forget your grandfather's story." Now think about that for a moment. Forget the story of a man who helped create a refuge where 1,250 Jews survived the Holocaust. No, I won't forget, and I won't stop telling his story. You don't have to agree with me politically. You don't have to agree with every interpretation of history. And if you want to challenge something historically, bring credible sources. Let's have an intelligent conversation based on facts. But don't hijack the memory of Holocaust victims and survivors simply because you want a platform for today's political arguments. There are thousands of places on social media to debate politics, and that's not what these stories are about. Sometimes we need to stop arguing long enough to remember the human being. Someone had a family. Someone lost their parents. Someone was hunted. Someone escaped. Someone resisted. Someone risked their own life to save another, and someone survived. If we can't hear those stories without immediately turning them into political ammunition, then maybe we haven't learned nearly enough from history. And there is another reason I believe telling these stories matters so much today. Antisemitism is once again rising around the world. We are hearing rhetoric and seeing hatred directed towards Jewish people that should make every one of us uncomfortable, because history has already shown us what can happen when hatred is normalized, ignored, or excused. Sometimes it feels as though the ugliness of the past is beginning to rear its head again in our present. That's exactly why Holocaust education matters. Not to weaponize history, not to score political points, but to remind people where unchecked hatred and the dehumanization of others can ultimately lead. The Holocaust didn't begin with concentration camps. It began with words, with stereotypes, with exclusion, with propaganda, and with the gradual acceptance of hatred. That's why we have to keep telling these stories. I will keep telling my grandfather's story. I will keep telling the stories of survivors. I will keep remembering the people whose voices were taken from them. And I will continue to tell these stories for the generations who weren't there to witness them. Because never forget isn't just a slogan, it's a responsibility. And perhaps now more than ever, we need to understand why we were told never to forget. Because when the echoes of the past begin appearing in the present, we have a responsibility to recognize them. And the moment we stop telling these stories is the moment forgetting begins.